In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the selection tool in a few different ways. So here I have my borough boundaries loaded up as a layer. And first I'll open up the attribute table. So I'll just select the layer in the layers panel and then open the attribute table. And you can see here that I have the 5 boroughs listed out. I can sort this if I'd like to by just clicking on borough codes so that you can see them in the order of the borough codes where Manhattan is assigned 1, Bronx is 2, Brooklyn 3, Queens 4, and Staten Island 5. And something we've seen in earlier tutorials is that if I just select a row here and then I look at my map, the row that I've selected is shown in yellow, and that's just temporary. Again, it just means that it's selected. And I could select multiple rows here by holding down my shift key. And then you'll see that any of the rows that are selected in the attribute table are also shown as selected on the map. And in order to undo my selections, I can click this square, this yellow square with a cancel sign. And I could also click that same button on my main map project. And then no features are selected. So that's one of the most basic ways of selecting features in your map project. And another is by doing it directly on the map manually, as opposed to selecting rows in your attribute table. So to do that, I can use this tool, and there's a little drop down next to it where I can choose which type of tool I want to use to select features manually. The first one is just drawing a rectangle. So if I draw a rectangle that touches Manhattan, Bronx, and Queens, and then open up the attribute table, I can see that those rows are selected. I can deselect, or I could use a different method like something like a polygon where I click different points, and I can even click just over here and right click to finish. And I could use one of these other methods for selection here if I wanted to. One other helpful thing is to be able to select a feature and then hold down Shift on my keyboard, and then I can select as many as I'd like, and I can also unselect them. Or again, I can press that deselect features button. Now, that's a pretty basic way of manually selecting features from either the attribute table or from the map directly. But one really helpful way to use selection in QGIS is by selecting features by their value. To do that, I would click on this tool called Select Features by Value, and it's going to bring up a window that has all of the different fields contained in that layer. And I'm going to use borough name to start, and I'll just type in here Bronx, and then select features, and Bronx will be selected here on my map. Or I can delete that and I could use, borough code instead. If I type borough code 3, then Brooklyn will be selected. And it'll be selected instead of the Bronx. But if I wanted to, I could do add to current selection. So if I now type in 2, I will add it to my current selection. So in addition to individually typing in the values of features that you would like to select, you can do mathematic functions here. So with the 5 boroughs of New York City, this is a very simple shapefile that has numbers 1 through 5 associated with it. But even here, I could deselect features, and then I could use select features by attribute to select all of the borough codes that are higher than a value of 1. So instead of just typing in a single borough code that I would like to select, I can use greater than, and then type in 1 here. And all boroughs other than Manhattan, which has a borough code value of 1, will be selected. So this gets much more complex as you work with more complex data sets. One other thing you can do is actually to reverse your selection, and I can do that by clicking the arrow here and inverting feature selection. And another really important function is to be able to export your selection as a new layer. And you'll do that once you have what you'd like selected. So in this case, I just have Manhattan, and I'm going to right-click on the layer, go to Export, and then Save Selected Features As. And here I will have a window pop up where I can save this as a new layer. I'll use the shapefile format. I'll click the three dots to pick where I would like to export this layer to, and I'll just call this Manhattan. And I'll keep all of the selected features, and add save file to map is clicked. So I will click OK, and then now I have a new layer in here that just has the borough of Manhattan. If I open its attribute table, I will see only one row for Manhattan.